Oh. All right, special issues. Counselor Smith? Here. Counselor Gear? Here. Counselor Allamon?
Here.
Counselor Sims?
Here.
And Counselor Andrus?
Here.
You always have your.
I know, we win the award every meeting. All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes and dispense with the reading?
Moved. Second.
All right, motion by Ms. Gear and second by Ms. Anderson. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0. All right, old business, 05-05-22, request for consideration of a request vacation right of way on 16th Street, adjacent to 2901 Central Avenue. That's Mr. Maniscalco. And as we move through this process with the project, let's carry that one over so that we can continue to keep this on the agenda and work as we go forward. 290522, request for consideration for mile marker signage for Lakeshore Trail. Ms. Andrus?
Yes,
Do we have?
I think I sent that to you and Mr. Kendrick.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
And are we all, it's all good with it? Okay. All right, you want to tell everybody what?
Sorry, I know. Yeah,
Something with some signs
something
and
with some
stuff.
signs. I think there was just some wording in there that they, Mike, what did she change?
They wanted to rehabilitate.
It's just semantics. Okay, all right.
It's a no substance.
And this doesn't cost the city anything, because they're
That's
paying.
right.
Okay.
Yes,
All
it
right.
really was. I can't tell you.
Okay,
It was very
can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion from Mr. Almond, second from Ms. Andrus. All in favor, please say aye. Aye, 5-0. Okay. New business, 120722, public hearing set for August 8th, 2022 at 6 p.m. for consideration of the sign variance at 1831 28th Avenue South, Suite 175, Taylor View, Social Taco. Oh, yeah, there you are. I was going to say, I thought I saw you. And then I got confused.
Do you mind signing this? You can just put Soho Taco in whatever company you want to put your address.
Okay.
All right. Oh, I said, did I say the right thing? I said Soho Taco.
They can-
I just called it what I wanted.
I don't think they could call it Soho Taco because somebody had that name or something.
Yeah, that's what it was for.
I was about to say, I thought that's
And
what it was.
somebody in California had it.
That's what we heard.
And they
Got mad.
really wanted it.
We're keeping it when y'all can open for
Social taco.
Social.
Okay, good, you guys have it.
All right, so this would go where?
So, we did a mock-up based on the strict sign code, and it looks, I think the sign code, if I'm right, White Company says 16-inch letters.
That's right.
And the awnings at that point looked, they didn't match the character of anything else, because they were, we have these awnings and letters that are this tall.
Okay, so these are gonna go on the existing awnings?
No, we're gonna replace the awning,
Okay.
so if you're looking at the front of the space, to the far left, there are 3 awnings that are coming down. Those will be replaced by that, but that will be one solid awning.
Oh, okay.
That will be the awning over the door.
Oh.
Sorry. No, you're good. And then there's another one that will be on the street side. Currently, where those awnings are, there are 3. We're removing the 2 outside ones and just keeping the center one. And what this diagram shows, I think, is we asked the awning people to just mock them up the same size at the same ratio that the social awnings are, and that looking around the rest of the complex, what matches that, what fits.
And so the name, the logo is gonna be painted, or is gonna be directly on the awnings?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so there's no illumination, there's
No.
no channel letters or any of that,
No.
it's just.
Yeah, we're going to that.
So the height variance is to go from 16 to 48, is that what I'm?
That's right. And just a little quick informational thing. I reached out to the authors of the ordinance, the placemakers, to talk to them a little bit about what their intent was. You can have a sign on every awning, no matter how many awnings you have, but they wanted them limited to 16 inches in height. They said that's a pedestrian scaled sign, and they encourage that. There wanting taller ones than that, but in their, well, to try to explain that, they do not have a wall sign. So
Just
this
doing
sort
the
of
awning
doubles
sign.
as the wall sign.
When Suncoast Social went in, that was before we did that sign.
Exactly, that
Okay, so,
predated
yeah.
the current.
Yeah. And, you know, I will say, it's a little bit of a different circumstance because it's not necessarily a street front. It's not like down on 18th Street because it's inside, the front of the store is inside the plaza. So it's not like you're just walking by it on a street. I don't know. It's a little, to me, it feels a little bit different. And I do like the idea of it kind of matching, mirroring what's already there, because, and are the letters, is it just like on the one,
Yeah. oh,
it
yeah.
looks like the logo was more, on one of the things, it looked like the letters weren't necessarily as big, but the taco logo was.
You're right, on that second one, Brian,
Yeah,
on
that
that
was
one, you
just
see
gonna
that
ask in
the
the-
letters
I know the
on
answer now.
both the social and taco are taller than 16 inches.
Right.
So I wrote a height variance of 32 inches to permit character height up to 48 inches. The logo, taco being 48 inches, I think that would cover,
Yeah, because that's the tallest thing.
that's the
is
tallest one, exactly.
All right, so there's no number variance, because they could have logos on every awning that they want to do.
That's right.
And there are, how many of them did you say?
We are having 3 loaded awnings.
Okay, one over the door, one on the, above the front, and one on the side, right?
Yes, one replacing the 3 kind of on the left side of the building.
Yeah.
A single one over the door and a single one, what would be in the middle on the street side.
Okay. Okay. Anybody have any other questions?
The tilde above the O drives me insane. It makes no sense, but.
Spanish speaker is like, what? Exactly.
It makes no sense.
This one's over the door.
That's the one over the main door, yeah.
I mean, in Spanish, you would never write anything like this. But.
Right.
Does that mean for?
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta talk forever.
Yeah, our kitchen staff's giving us lots of.
I just had to say.
So, the shorter ones are the side,
The,
so this is the door one and the other one.
that's the door. The first one we saw, the long one, is
Two
gonna.
of those.
No, we just have one of those.
Oh, I thought you had 3 of them.
We have 3 total awnings. There should be another one. Is there another one in this?
No, these are the only 2 I got.
I think it's, for them, I don't know, there is a limit on how many wall signs you can have, right?
Well, I guess I
Yeah,
have
you can only
some.
have one wall sign, but then they said
some more of
awnings.
these if anybody would like
You
to
could have
see
as
them.
many awning signs as you
Oh,
wanted
okay.
to.
I don't really understand that.
Okay, so
I don't
this
know,
is
that's
the
just in
third
the-
one?
that's just in the
The reason
sign.
I didn't include this is because it doesn't require variance.
Okay,
It's
that's.
actually.
Oh, okay, so this is compliant, so that's
So
why I
this
didn't
one
have to have
actually-
that.
Yeah, okay.
Does not.
I got you. Okay.
Just 2 signs.
So, yeah,
Okay.
so it's the size for the 2.
And I didn't quite under,
Yeah, I don't really get either, because wouldn't that be 48 too?
it's the letters, and I guess it's something in.
Oh, because he said the letters are 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
did get a copy of that. I just
Okay.
didn't include it because.
Okay.
Because it doesn't require variance,
Okay.
gotcha, okay, so it's just the 2 variances for the, over the door and the street side. Got it, okay.
Well, I would move to send out without recommendation for the public hearing.
Okay, motion from Ms. Andrus,
Second.
second from Ms. Gear, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so next week, the 8th at 6 o'clock, next door in Chambers for the public hearing.
Okay.
And, Brian has all the artwork, so,
If you need it.
you know, just, to everybody, for the full council.
Thank you very much. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. 130722, public hearing set for August 8th, 2022, at 6 p.m. for consideration of a sign variance at 333 Green Springs Highway. Brenda Daniel Signs, Chase Bank.
They request that we carry this up one time, please.
Sure. No problem. All right, well, huh?
So, but the public hearing's scheduled for Monday.
Oh, yeah. We'll have to carry over, hey, Alex,
Hey.
Hey, the Chase Bank folks asked to have this carried over in committee, so we'll have to open and carry over the public hearing on Monday night.
Yeah, we're gonna do that, but we're gonna have a conversation about what we're doing with these public hearings and these signs.
Yeah.
People not showing up, this is it.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
All
so
right.
this one, we absolutely will do that.
Okay.
So we're going, so,
I know, we were just having
we
that
did.
discussion.
I know.
But
We did.
one way or another, either we're gonna stop carrying them over in committee,
Right.
or we're not gonna set the public hearing till later, or we'll have an internal.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, that's the one thing. I mean, we could, from now on, what we could do is, we don't set the public hearing until you come to
Until it comes
committee.
out of committee.
Yeah, that's kind of what I
it
think.
just makes it long, it makes them longer.
Well, that's
Yeah.
on them, man.
I know, so- but,
It's their problem.
I know, are we carrying it over? here?
Yes,
We're
we're
not
carrying
supposed to
this-
report it out so that you can open the public hearing, or?
Yes, I'll report out that we
No,
carry.
the public hearing's already set.
Yeah,
We
the
don't
public
have to
hearing is
report
already
it out. I just opened the public hearing.
Okay,
Close it.
sorry, okay.
Yeah,
But you
but-
want to leave it in committee as well?
Correct.
Okay.
But I think we probably do need to consider saying, if you're doing a sign variance, you're not gonna get your public hearing set
That's my
until you
problem,
show
we
up.
put it on the new business line.
It's been fine, it's just not, lately it's not working,
Yeah.
so.
I've been
it's
putting it
not
on
your
referral
fault.
and new business
Yeah.
to
Yes.
set it at the same
No,
time.
it's
Yeah.
not your fault.
I can show
Not
you,
showing up.
it's a simple variance request. I can show you what it is and then they can be here for the public hearing if that's okay with you.
Oh, did they just not have, did they just not work? I mean, are they okay
They
if
just
proceeding?
couldn't, they just couldn't make it.
Couldn't be
I've-
here
I've-
tonight?
They just couldn't be here, but I've got all the information.
Oh, well, then
And it's
let's,
ready.
okay, hold on, then, we're gonna uncarry it over, uncarrying it over, and we're gonna take a look at what we got. Okay. Where is the, where is?
It's the new Chase Bank on the corner of Oxmoor and Green Springs.
Okay.
It's where the taco truck sits now.
There's a Chase Bank. Where's the taco truck
Where's the
going?
taco truck going? My children are gonna panic. Hardy Smith is gonna go in the morning.
Where's the taco?
He's got your plate.
That's not gonna satisfy him.
Changed but a bit of cover. From taco.
The taco truck is not the same as
You
Chico.
got
We might wanna carry this over.
I know, seriously, we done. This is a conversation.
Delay this for a while.
Sunday?
Yeah, right there with the
They
taco
want to build
truck.
overnight. Boys and girls.
I mean, let me just say, I'm kind of excited that something's gonna be there other than like, you know,
empty.
a lot.
Still
Yes.
no.
But, okay, so this is where that's gonna be.
The sign ordinance permits one sign per tenant. So this is a request for a numbers variance to permit a second wall sign. So this one would be on the Oxmoor side. The actual storefront would be facing Green Springs. And then there would be the location variance to permit a sign in a location
Other
other
than
than
a
a
storefront.
storefront. So that's the request.
And it's because it's a corner.
It's because
It's a corner one. Just like- Okay, all right,
It's a little different than
But
what
basically,
they're
a
doing.
building.
it does, very different. Okay,
Well, I would
so,
move to send it out without recommendation for the public hearing.
all right,
Second.
all right. Motion from Ms. Anderson, second from Mr. Sims, to send it out without recommendation pending the public hearing on Monday night.
Thank you for saving us.
Yes, thank you. Perfect. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, all right, we'll have them in, hearing on Monday. Okay, final one, 140722, public hearing set for August 8th, 2022, at 6 PM for consideration of a sign variance at 722 27th Court South, Dogtopia.
Yes, I believe y'all are here for the Dogtopia, right?
Come on up, Jake, if you don't mind signing in.
Sure.
Oh, good.
A little spot for her puppy.
I need to talk to this guy.
You talking to what? Might be a no.
I'm gonna talk to him.
So, y'all are in the same strip as Cahaba Cycles.
Correct, right next door to them.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And y'all, what are y'all wanting to do?
So we want a larger sign and a larger awning sign. So the sign, this one is the one we're proposing, I think that it's 3'9" total. 45 inches. Yeah, and then, I wish we could, I should have brought a picture of Cahaba sign right next door. Theirs is like 4'9". So we want basically something similar to theirs, but we don't need quite that big.
white. And then each of the awning signs, I think we're limited to 16 inches, which if you want to scroll to the very last page, you can see what, under the current zoning, that's what is allowed in the current zoning. So, I mean, the issue, we love our location. The issue is it's on a side street. There's not a ton of natural visibility. So the real visibility point is 28th Street, which is 28th Avenue, which is 240 feet away from this. And so, I just
So
don't even think it's
my
visible.
friends ask me where it is, and I say it's behind Ed's Pet World, because it doesn't have natural visibility from 27th.
And so Wyatt, this
Yes.
is really the same thing as Social Taco in that they can have multiple awning signs, it's just they can't have the size that they want.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this exhibit actually includes several options and things that they sent me.
Oh, okay.
So there's a wall sign included as
Okay.
well as awning signs.
Okay.
They sent an option A and B for the wall sign. The option A and B is, the option A is the one they want.
That's this.
This is B.
Oh, this is B, okay.
Correct, the one before this.
Which one's actually?
That's
This
it right
one.
there.
Yeah,
And
so it's a
so-
little bit bigger.
This one would require a height variance of 6 inches to permit a 2-foot 6-inch character height variance. So the characters are a little taller than what's permitted on this wall sign. Overall the area is compliant. Option B, what they showed on the next page, is just a compliant sign. This is what a compliant sign is.
Oh, okay, so that is like, if it was done to the size that's allowed, that's what it would look like, okay, I got you.
That's correct. So they're
Okay.
looking for something a little bigger. So the exhibit also includes awning signs in option A, B, and C. So option A would require a height variance of 20 inches to permit a 3-foot character height, 16 inches being the maximum allowed. Option B on the next page would require a height variance of 14 inches to permit a 2-foot 6-inch character height. And then option C on the next page is a compliant
Yeah, that's the one.
awning.
Okay. And let me ask this for y'all. Is the wall sign, is that channel letters or is that paint on the wall?
It's channel letters.
It's channel
without,
letters.
Without interior lighting.
Okay, so
it's
no-
basically constructed like a one with interior lighting, and they
But
just took
without
away.
it, okay, got it, okay, so there was the letters.
We'd love to
without
have that
it.
too, we just didn't want to push too hard.
Good call.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so again, the appropriate motion would be, yeah.
I would move to send it out without recommendation pending public hearing.
Okay.
Second.
Motion from Ms. Andrews, second from Mr. Owen, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So, public hearing next week, on the 8th, at 6 p.m. Capitol Chambers. And he has all
Present the
these-
same thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly the same thing, except to the full council, so yes.
Right.
All
All
right,
right.
thank y'all.
Thank you.
And, unless anyone else has something, then we are adjourned. Oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Oh, yes.
Yeah, we skipped
No,
by.
no.
I have a concern, I mean, if we can't, I know it's public, but if I can sign a lease in advance to have that once it's completed, that's one thing, but if that's not an option, then this wouldn't work for me. So, for him, putting that intersection in where it comes up in between all Daniels and our building, and then there's an intersection that goes to both of his buildings. If you remove that intersection, he's got room for 82 parking spots. That's everything he needs without the reason he needs public space to park on is because he wants also additional access. So you're giving him additional access to Central and also giving him public parking where the city in general would have a lot more parking if they had all their parking in this and then our public lot could stay public. No, it's not in competition from anyone. We don't need it to be exclusively for us because it's not convenient to get to from most other places. So that intersection that he's got on his own property is taking the space of 10 or 12 more parking spots. That's what I showed the first PowerPoint that I have. So, I mean, this is, it's, yes, the number of parking spaces looks okay to me, but if they're not assigned for me, today I drove past the gravel lot, there's 25 cars parked in the gravel lot at lunchtime.
Yeah.
And when you've got now 16,000 more square foot of building over there, that's also gonna have a restaurant and also retail, all those cars are just gonna keep getting pushed down, and they're all gonna be in front of our building on Central. So I'm afraid that we're gonna not have any place for our patients to park when they're coming in and out for their appointments in the middle of the day.
Well, and I will say, so if, and I mean, and Alex, correct me if I'm wrong here, because I definitely don't want to say something that's not true. If we did not open that road, those parking spaces would not exist. Because we're not gonna go in.
Correct.
And, yeah,
But
right.
the parking as it is now suits us.
Oh, sure.
Right, but see, so, this is where we get into the sticky place. Because if there's any alteration to those spaces, in order for us to lease them to you, which we would have to do because they are currently public spaces, any alterations we make to that lot eliminates 6 of your spaces.
But you wouldn't need to make any alterations. We could just use it as is.
Except,
Okay, well.
so this is where we get, yeah,
I mean,
I'll let.
Look, it's difficult because it's public land, right? Right now, you don't have any parking spaces that are yours.
Right.
Is public land. So for us to in any way condone you using them as parking spaces, the parking spaces would have to be created according to the ordinance.
Right, they have to be
Which means you're gonna lose the number of cars that can park on that piece of property as compared to what's happening now.
Why has it never needed to be condoned before?
Because no one ever asked.
No one ever asked.
Okay.
They just parked there. So that's the problem. When you came and asked, yes, we absolutely can condone them to you, but we can't condone them to you the way that they are because they're not compliant.
So can you just not condone it?
Well, so here's the issue.
That's
We've got 2 requests about the same property as well.
Right.
So we have to address the request. Even if we don't address yours, we've got to address his. With regard to the gravel parking lot, that is not public parking. We don't own any of that. They can do whatever they want with that property as long as it's within an ordinance. So we can't, they can build whatever they want to build there as long as it's within the ordinances and the requirements. They may or may not need us for something right now. The only thing that they are asking us for is some work in the right-of-way adjacent to that property. What they're planning on building there, as I understand it, is meets all their ordinance requirements. So whatever happens on that, isn't before us, and we can't speak to that. All we can speak to is what happens, their request to work in the right-of-way. At the same time, we can speak to your request to vacate that same property. If we address that property, whatever is done with the property has to meet the ordinances.
I think it's still a good point, though, that if we don't open that right of way, that there will be more parking spaces on the property, on the gravel property that's being developed. Is that what you're saying?
I had that drawn out when I presented.
There can potentially be more spaces because the right of way won't be there, the road won't be there. So there will be more spaces on Shannon
On their own
Walczak's
property.
property. And, I think it's a consideration for the city.
Well, and that's.
I think it is a consideration for the
Right.
city not to make that thoroughfare.
Well, and that's what we address
Sure.
when we talk to them, because that's their request. So when we deal with their property, if you
Right.
don't want to vote for to.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, I think
That's-
it's important in
Yeah,
this
no.
conversation to
Right.
understand, and I haven't heard it said that way since
No,
we've
I
been
think
in this
Lee has
discussion.
said it multiple times,
Yeah.
Well,
because he said it in his
a while
original
ago,
question.
but,
Yeah.
we just need to be sure that that's a part of our conversation.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think the options for Shannon Walczak are, you don't get the 28th court at all, or, and you can put more parking spaces in the place that but then I don't know if they actually do that part of the project.
Yeah,
I can't
that would be
predict
up to
that. I have
them
no idea.
as to what they do. But yeah, the Shannon Walczak / Alabama Power request is to work in the right of way on 28. What is it? 28 Court.
28th Court
28th
South,
Court,
I think.
and the alley on the other side.
Right, and we've always said that it was kind of tied into how the Maniscalcos felt about it, since their request was right on
Right.
top of one another. And so I just think we have to sort of look at both of those in concert.
But I think it doesn't change the fact that if any work is done in the existing lot, it changes the way that lot is, because there has to be a compliant ADA space. There has to be, we have, the spaces currently as they are don't meet our ordinance because there's not enough space backing out to the.
Because we've never created spaces.
Because we've never
there.
created spaces there, right. Those were not defined.
There are no city public parking spaces there, it's just city-owned property.
Right, right, exactly. Although they technically aren't city parking spaces because they're ours.
I don't even remember whose committee we're in, but I'll go ahead and say it. Come on, what do you got?
The question is, on a building like that he purchased, how many parking lots, anytime you buy commercial property, there's gotta be some, none.
He has no parking.
He bought no parking.
Yeah, there is no parking.
It's all city right away. It's all
I got
public
it.
space.
Well, let me ask you one more question. Where are all the people from the Battery and grocery are gonna park? Because I know where they're gonna park. They're gonna park all in front of him. All the employees are gonna come out there at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock when they start. They're gonna, that's all gonna be gone. He will have no parking.
That's why we had,
That's what we-
40 places on Central Avenue for all those businesses.
Why are they all parking at 30 of them, 40 of them at night in that other place?
Where they used to park in the.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be gone, but where are they gonna go?
Well, and Chris, that's why we were trying to work with Lee in order to convey those spaces to him so that they would be his. But the problem is, if we convey them to him like they are, it's gonna change how many spaces he has.
I mean, does the Battery, the grocery office people know that they're gonna be, all that property gonna be gone, they won't have no parking?
But yeah, but wait, but here's the thing.
But we don't have any.
Here's
Asking the question.
Look, this is the thing. That is not a property that the Battery, grocery, any of those people, or the city have any control over. It's not on any of our property. So whatever they build there and the effects of what they build there, if they're building it within the ordinances, they're building it within the ordinances. I understand what you're talking about, and we did build a bunch of parking on Central to try to address those businesses years ago as businesses would grow on Central.
Will be a time limit on those parking places, maybe?
I can't remember if
There's not
is there not currently?
There's not
So yeah, I mean, we could consider that if it becomes an
Park there
issue.
all day,
Sure.
they're gonna have to come in.
We could absolutely, we can always set time limits on parking, and we've tried to do that strategically in places where it helps, and other places where there is more need of a need for all-day parking, where we allow it. So, yeah, I mean, we could always take that up if that becomes an issue and we feel the need to. But I understand what you're saying, and I'm not telling you what will or won't happen. I don't think this process is played out yet with regard to the Shannon Walcheck Alabama Power development. We raised some more issues tonight. I don't know if they're going to think those are acceptable or not. I don't know if they're going to want to continue with their plan or not, based on the comments that came tonight. Once we get farther down the line, I think that at that point, we can discuss the public parking spaces that are going to go in the public spaces that you are using now, sort of as parking that aren't really public spaces. I mean, we're in essence not changing anything other than the space that's being used as public parking, which is what it's being used as right now. It's not, I mean, we've talked about this. It's not your parking. At best, it's public parking, even though it's never been actually made into public parking. But what we would be doing is the spaces would be changing from a not striped public parking lot to a striped public parking lot. We're not really changing the nature of those spaces. I understand that doesn't change your request or even necessarily your need for a certain number of those spaces, and I think we can talk about that, but I think we've got to figure out whether they're going to do because we keep telling them, hey, this still doesn't look right. We still, like we were talking about tonight with the vet. I don't think that works. My personal opinion is that doesn't work. So, I think we need to see what they're doing with it. Now, if you want to move forward with your request, I've told you, and I'll tell you again, we can set the public hearing, within the notice requirements. But I can set it Monday night. I can set it Monday night for whatever the earliest time is. I can't remember what the notice is for this particular item. But we can do that whenever. But again, I think part of the issue is, as Ms. Gear pointed out, there are these two things happening simultaneously. You may like what ends up happening better with this plan, you may like it better the other way, I don't know, that's gonna be up to you, but I think that's where we are.
And I will say, because that parking, and Chris mentioned this, with all those new businesses there, people may could start parking there now. I mean, there's nothing to
Yeah.
stop people from coming down there from the Battery being like, oh, there's some open parking spaces. 'Cause
Just
they-
got the convenience of the other place right now.
Right, yeah, right now, but if something were to change, they might just start parking in your spots, and then you're lost your spots anyway.
Yeah.
So I think there's still so many moving parts, it's hard to kind of nail this down at this particular moment. I mean,
Don't we, as a city, have an obligation to kind of figure out, we know it's coming in a year. You give us
Well,
a year, right, basically.
we don't know that. I mean,
I mean,
that is their hope, that is their plan, that is their wish.
Right.
No, we don't know that that's.
So let's
I
assume
think
it
there's
is,
still
it
way
gives
too
you
much.
time to start, as a city, start thinking about where we're gonna put all these other people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's coming, plus, you got a lot of things happening right now, good things, by the way. But, you know, it won't be good if there's no, people aren't gonna walk 2 blocks with us. You know, I mean, we gotta come up with some kind of idea.
Right, and at the same time, you can't create land, right? You can only work where you can work. And I think that's one of the points of why we were saying, let's let this play out, is because this would add, regardless of whether or not spaces end up getting, dedicated to you and declared surplus, there will be additional public parking spaces with that, so it's worth seeing how that would play out. We still got a bunch of hurdles to go through to determine whether or not that would be a good idea. But to your point, yeah. I don't think anyone wants to ignore the potential of more public parking spaces that might be around there.
And I think that there's something to be said too about some of these businesses, their peak times do not overlap.
Correct.
So with that in mind too, when you look at this new development, again, we don't count, we're not the body responsible for counting
Correct.
those parking spots. But however, looking ahead, we could look at the Wall-Check property, should it go forward, and make sure that they don't restrict their parking to their development only, which that does have a waterfall effect down the line, because they may have non-peak hours where the Battery or the grocery may park there.
I'm gonna say it a little differently than you did. They could proffer that to us, which
They
is
could.
something we would be interested in hearing.
That's right. So I think that's something to think of going forward.
Yeah.
Yes,
We can't
that's
impose
right.
it on them, but if they proffer it, it's certainly something I think that we would consider.
I think when we're
Because I
looking-
think you're right. Different businesses are gonna have, and quite frankly, the BZA's been doing this, and their recent consideration of things is, you've got some businesses that are using parking more during the day, sort of like you would be, and some businesses that are gonna be using it more at night and on weekends. And so the idea of shared parking is something that most cities are enjoying right now and are implementing more and more. And I think that's a real consideration as we move forward, and with hopefully the correct proffers from businesses and developers, we can make that work. But I think that's where we are. I think that hearing how this develops and how it plays out is probably important to not just your business, but businesses around there and everything else. That's my personal opinion, but we will, like I said, if you want to move forward with the public hearing, I'll set it. I don't want to hold you up in any way, but that's where I think we are.
Let me just talk to my wife about it.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a good plan.
That's always a good plan.
Okay, so now I think we are.
We're stuck here.